New York, Albuquerque.
Astronauts to the moon.
Houston, we have a problem.
Astronauts to the moon.
All right. Welcome, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of HelioPsychosis podcast. This is your host Vikka Draziv. Guys, welcome to the show. If you're watching us from YouTube, do comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. And hit that bell icon. Help us grow the community and the show. And if you're watching us from Flat Earth Research Network or HelioPsychosis group on Facebook, do comment and tag your friends and share the show too. And finally, if you're watching us from truthseekers.com.net, welcome everyone there too. RealTruthSeekers.com is one of our main sponsors, and they have amazing features always coming. It's an awesome platform, uncensored, no shadow banning, and some amazing content. So make sure, guys, to check out RealTruthSeekers.com. A big shout out to them. And yep, what a show we have today, and really interesting topic. It's especially one of my favorites. Let's jump into it. My first co-host, everybody know him from the movie Flat on the Curve, helicopter pilot, engineer, Rob. Rob, how are you?
Hi, Vika. It's great to be here. This is a massive topic we have today, almost as big as the firmament, because it has to do exactly with the Rakia firmament dome. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for everybody else who's on here. Gene and Kevin, thank you guys. Old standbys. We are the four of us now. It's nice to talk this. I'm sure I can't wait to hear all the topics that everybody else has to bring in. I know it's quite a bit myself. Vika, you've compiled an entire video yourself. I can't wait for you to talk about all the details behind that. Gene and Kevin, the great topic. I'm looking forward to this. And as always, thank you, all of us and all of our Flatten the Curve and HelioPsychosis group. Anybody who's not here, thanks to everybody, and welcome anybody else who would like to contribute. The shape of the Earth leads right straight to the creator of the flat Earth, the Most High, and we honor him. That's what this research is all about. So thank you, Vika. Back to you.
Awesome, brother. Great pleasure to have you always. And my next co-host, everybody know him too. He's one of our production team, and also our admins in quite a few groups. Chini, Chini, how are you? Chini, we don't hear you, brother. Can anyone hear Gene?
I can't hear him. Gene, you there?
Nothing.
No.
His icon's
So
not
we have.
flashing.
Okay, so we're having some issue with the audio of Chini till he gets back. And our next guest, everybody know him too. Also a star of Flat in the Curve, and his nickname Planet Savant. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing very good, Vikka. Thank you so much for having me on the show again. There's a lot to cover on this one, very complex subject, so I'm very interested to know what you guys have to say about it. It's something I definitely need to learn a little bit more about as well, so I'll probably be asking questions more than I'm responding to anything, so but thank you so much for having me on the show. Rob, always a pleasure. Gene, love talking to you guys. So let's go ahead and get it.
Awesome, Kevin. Great to have you too, brother. So, yep, maybe Eddie Alankar is gonna join us later, and Keith Cameron also maybe be joining us later in the show. Until they join us, we're gonna go ahead. Yes, the electric sun or the electric universe. Okay, the word we don't use universe in our flat earth cosmology. We don't really use the word universe, but we could use the word like plane, the electric plane. So instead of using the electric universe, that there are bands and there are many different things who speak about the electric universe, we have the electric plane or the electric flat earth. It's really important to understand that the whole system, the whole ecosystem on this plane works on the basis of electricity and magnetism. Okay, so before we jump in of the electric sun, we have to know that everything is, apart from the sun, everything is electric. Everything, the whole system works on this electricity and magnetism. Okay, so oh, there's somebody else joining us. Just a moment. I'll add him to the stream. Okay, that's Jeannie. No, it's Eddie. Eddie, how are you? Do you hear us?
Hey, how are you? I hear you quite clear. How are you guys doing?
Awesome, Eddie. We're still waiting to hear from Jeannie because I think he's having some audio issues.
Okay.
Julio. So we all know about Tesla. We all know about Eric Dollard. Eric Dollard is we could say, is the successor of Nikola Tesla. Okay, what Nikola Tesla invented and all his technology is still debatable if he's the real person behind that technology. But everything he supported and everything he did always, in a way, proved flat Earth. Okay, that was one of the main reasons that he was not there in the history books, because most of his things, for example, the all the electrical workings, the wireless radio transmission, the electric motor, which is the basis of all machines that exist today, be it washing machine, a hair dryer, a small motor, an industrial motor, the robots, everything works on electric AC motor, which was invented by Nikola Tesla dash somebody else. We don't know. We don't know that if it really was Tesla, but it's technology is speaking about is the reason. So you want to add something, Rob, about Tesla and Eric Dollard?
And yes, there's quite a bit of evidence. Whenever we see Tesla in his poses, we see Luciferian symbols in his finger signs, his hand signals. So there's definitely something there. It kind of looks like Tesla was a smoke and mirrors kind of a sleight of hand. That Tesla was just kind of a smoke and mirrors, show the people what's available, because it is available, but kind of a decoy. In other words, just to kind of get people excited. It was a divide and conquer. So Vikka, what you're saying, electricity, electric power, as we all know, there were quite the developed electric vehicles in the early 1900s. There were a lot of the big cities were running on electric vehicles, electric cars. So that did exist then, but then there was a petroleum reset. Okay, there was a deliberate petroleum reset that put all the automobiles back to petroleum power instead of electric power. So we need to remember that, what we see in economic history. So yes, there's a lot of electric development, but then there was a petroleum reset. So right now we kind of see a solar / battery reset to battery power now, but that's kind of like the evolution of economy. So yes, Vikka, you're absolutely right. And but its power is much larger and much bigger than we are that direct the development of economy as we move forward in time.
Right, I agree to that, Rob. But the thing is, maybe the Teslas, that he could be a Mason or his hand sign, and all, it could be also a disinfo, just so that the people don't really look into him, because every technology related to him, maybe it's not his, but every technology that was related to him had been banned. For example, the Tesla Tower. We all know about the Tesla Tower, and it works on the ball lightning effect. What is ball lightning effect? Is the way the sun works in this ecosystem, and how the electric is how over the atmosphere, and how it could be harvested. So his fundings were taken down because he wanted free electricity for everybody. So just one of his all the other technology we were speaking about. There were many other things he was working to, or the name given through him, but there was these kind of technologies that exist. So Dollar did his research, and he continued, and he tried to mimic most of his stuff, and he succeeded. He was maybe 4 years in the desert, studying the sun, and 8 of his laboratories were burned down, because they are dealing with some really important information. They were really persecuted, both of them, and even Eric Dollard. And I think people are familiar with some of his work. And according to his work, the sun is supposed to be no bigger than the earth, and the sun is not supposed to be more than 5,000 kilometers high. That's according to a research of a scientist, where the people are saying there is no scientist who do flat earth, there is no flat earth scientist. But these two really did some work which are so sensitive, and in reality it really proves that the earth is flat. And according to his research, the sun is supposed to be a transformer. It doesn't consist anything like a sphere or a ball, like how the heliocentric model says, like a nuclear fusion happening there,
Yep.
So according to Dollar, yeah, go ahead, Kevin, if you want to add something.
No, I was just completely agreeing with what you were talking about.
Right. So according to Dollar and few other scientists, the sun is a transformer that collects all the energy from the earth, the electromagnetic energy from the earth, from the atmosphere, and from the dome, and concentrate it and the byproduct is the heat, the light, and the radiation. That's what is the main findings of these scientists, and there is nothing to do with nuclear fusion and burning of in a vacuum of the sun, how they say.
Exactly. Didn't Eric Dular conclude that the sun actually gives off a cold heat, and it's actually the electromagnetic field that actually heats up the Earth instead of the sun itself, like what we're taught in the heliocentric model?
Right, because the heliocentric model says that it's many other metals that consist in the sun, like magnesium and chrome and many other metal that gets its attraction, how you say, magnetic attraction, because of these metals like are there that consists of the sun. That is a core. That's why that there it's happening and it's burning. And but if we see, if we do real science, all these metals, they boil, they melt at 1,000 degrees, and according to the globe science, the sun is more than 5,000 degrees. Okay, so how is it really happening? And to have combustion, you need some elements. You need a
Yep.
fuel. Yeah, you need the fuel, you need the ignition, you need the oxygen, and you need
Oxygen.
the
Yep.
atmosphere. You need the
Yep.
atmospheric air. You need these 5 different things for combustion to happen. Okay, and how is it that happening in space? Because we don't have oxygen in space, because oxygen is made of oxygen produces when there is photosynthesis or photolysis. So it's two different things that can only is possible in the atmosphere. So how is it in the vacuum of the space the sun is doing its combustion, and from where it's getting the oxygen?
It makes complete no sense at all, especially when you compare the pictures of NASA whenever they show pictures of the sun when it shows combustion. Just like you said, it's completely impossible in outer space. But then if you take your own observation, which I've done multiple times, you take a solar lens, which aren't cheap. I think I spent like $100 on my solar lens, and I put it on my Nikon P900, and I zoom into the sun, and then it looks completely opposite. And there's no combustion, there's no flames coming off it. It's a perfect circle, just like the moon is. Whenever we see a full moon.
Right. Right. So we got two different things. We got the globe model where all this combustion and the atmosphere and the oxygen, everything is happening in the vacuum of space. And then we have the another one, that is the electric part. That how is it possible in the electric universe or electric plane that the sun is doing that? So we have to understand that the heat, the light, and the radiation is not because of the combustion. Okay, the same thing is just happening because it's electrical. That's why the sun don't give off heat. What's happening is that the sun, the electric sun, as I said, is taking all this energy from all different, from the earth and from all around, concentrating it, and these are the byproducts: the light, the heat, and the electromagnetic waves, we could tell them. So when it comes to the atmosphere, these waves, the electromagnetic waves of the sun that is coming down to the earth, it's vibrating the particles and the molecules in the atmosphere, and that's the reason of the heat and the light. That's why it's very local. The heat and light is very local on Earth, because the more high you go, the colder it is.
Colder it gets.
We all
Yep.
have been that we all have been in an aeroplane. You know, it's in some places at 45,000 feet. It's
The
it's
I
almost
can tell
minus
you
30.
the
Yep,
adiabatic cooling rate. It's -2 degrees per 1,000 feet. That gets cold real fast.
2,000 feet.
exactly. Hey Keith, welcome, brother. How are you doing?
Hey, good to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, Keith? How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Had a wonderful day.
Awesome, awesome. Good to hear your voice, my man.
And welcome, Keith. This is Rob. Thanks for all your posting on the podcast group messenger. You got a lot of good material there.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, anything I can do to promote the truth, just like you guys.
Voila! In all of its faces.
Right.
Oh yeah, that your monologues are amazing. Keep them coming, brother.
Yes, sir.
We see Gene cannot. I don't know if he can log in, and we don't hear him, but he's been getting in and out. So yeah, an awesome topic we have today about the electric sun. We are trying to break it down, because it's just saying that it's electric, and we have to really understand. So we are speaking about that it's not possible the combustion, because there are some things you need, some elements you need for that combustion to happen, and that's not happening. That in itself is a red flag for the globe, that in the vacuum there's combustion happening, and all these core that the sun is supposed to be, it melts at 5 times less percent than what the melting point of all these metals are, what they say that the core of the sun is. So and that's what we're trying to that the people to understand, that the heat, the light, and the magnetic radiation is not happening. So so if this is combustion is not happening, so there is no attraction or magnetism, because these metals lose their magnetic properties once they are beyond 1,000 degrees.
Yep.
So there is no gravity or a magnetism left in the sun if that combustion or this constituent of metals exist in there.
Definitely.
So gravity is nothing. Like even the dust that sticks to a TV screen, that's gravity, nothing else. So there is no, the sun doesn't have power to attract planets and all these things. It's not happening because there is no magnetism or attraction happening there, or the other word they want to call it, the gravity is the reason that everything is rotating around the sun.
Yeah, the whole
The,
mass attracting mass is a joke to begin with. That came from the Cavendish experiment that was viewed from a telescope from how far away, and it was only done once, so it didn't make it observable, repeatable, and testable. So it's all just a joke for sure.
oh yeah, definitely it is.
I also had a question for you, Vikka.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is something I'm not really familiar with. Something I'm having want to conclude more. What do you think the hot spots are if the sun is a complete electromagnetic field?
Is the vortex, because electromagnetic uh, can sometimes have some vortices on the sun. These are the sunspot.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Some So it's all the bollocks about the sun and their distances, and all is supposed to be made up. So the it's not happening this heat is not happening. But for example, also on if you go on Mount Everest, it's freaking freezing too there. You know, the more high we go, the more high we go, we should burn inside the plane. You know, there are some experiments done with high altitude balloon at 30 kilometers height. The water freezes. How the hell is gonna happen that the water freezes at this point if the sun is so hot, right?
No, definitely for sure. It makes sense about the sun having to use photosynthesis with the electromagnetic fields for it to get hotter and colder during summer and winter when it comes to the altitude of the sun, right?
Right, and the way they speak about the seasons because it's under the globe and it's above the globe and like whether it's just totally nonsense. These people are spewing, you know. So
Definitely.
there's a question. Agree that our sun is low. There's a question by Mike Zudnik. Vika, would you agree that our sun is close and local? Oh yeah, definitely. We also spoke about that. The sun is the closest luminary on the earth. Okay, this is not only we are saying just not only by looking at it. There are also scriptures who speak about this, that the sun is the lowest, that it goes in the order of the days of the week. Okay, the height of every planet, not planet, let's call it luminaries, is the way it goes. Sunday is supposed to be the lowest. That's why when we are in the airplane, we see the sun very big than the moon. Okay, and then is the Monday is the moon, Tuesday is the Mars, Wednesday. You know, so it goes on until Friday, Saturday, and Saturn is supposed to be the highest, and then in the end is supposed to be the Polaris. And between all these heights, there's only one layer of the stars, which only it sits in one layer. So this is according to the scriptures. Okay, we're not just making up some of the scriptures, and we ourselves sees that because once you also go in a high altitude balloon, you see the images. You will see the sun the same size, more or less, big, but the moon you're gonna always see small. Go and find me a high altitude balloon footage and show me the sun and the moon the same size. Okay, it's not possible. Why? Because they are on different altitude, and the sun is the lowest. This goes totally against the mainstream media pseudoscience
That's
that the
very
sun.
interesting. And that has to do with the days of the week as well, you said?
That's how the order goes. The days of the week are set up according to the height of the planet of these luminaries. That's why they go from Sunday to Saturday. Thursday is supposed to be for Jupiter. Saturday is for Saturn. So yep, it's a all these things could be looked up, as I said, also about about the different sizes of the sun and the moon at that height also can be looked up, and we all know that the sun is a more local. We see sometimes so huge. Okay, there is some atmospheric lensing going on and everything, but once you go much more higher, you see the real sizes more or less, and you will see that the moon is like a dot. It's like a dot because it's much more higher. All right, I think somebody else. Okay, somebody jumps out. Anybody wants to add something before we continue?
Yeah, Vika, I don't know if you guys mentioned that hypothesis by the electrical engineer Don Scott. Now, he is still a ball believer. He still believes in all the heliocentric nonsense, but he was an electrical engineer for 35 years and a professor of electrical engineering at a college. I don't remember which college offhand, but he put forth this hypothesis of other electrical engineers that the sun is electric. and has quite a few different observations from the sun that he says mainstream science and
Honey,
mainstream
you don't need
economy
to fix that stuff.
won't even address his questions or even try to answer his questions because they believe that science is settled. Well, that's the opposite of science. It should never be settled. But him being a scientist and being an electrical engineer, claiming that the sun is electric, I first learned about him about 3 years ago, and I've listened to his hypothesis presentation several times. But one of the things that makes me wonder is if the sun is electric, wouldn't that mean that the mass of the sun or the density of the sun would be less, like far less than what is assumed in mainstream science? I think it would. So if that's true, then the entire gravity theory is out. So, as we know, everything works by electromagnetism, and the idea of the mass attracting mass or the bending of space and time, just this nonsense science, pseudoscience that has never been proven. And I think, Kevin mentioned Cavendish a few minutes ago. It's so funny that these ball believers, people trying to defend the globe, point to something 100, 200, 300 years ago, but they can't point to anything in 2022 as any actual proof for mass attracting mass or the bending of space and time. It's all science fiction. So I just think that the sun is electric, not just because a flat earther says so, but you have people with decades of experience in the electrical world claiming and putting forth a hypothesis contradicting the mainstream narrative that the sun is electric.
Excellent, Keith. What was this
Oh
guy's name?
yeah,
Don Scott.
Donald Scott. Yeah,
Scott.
Donald Scott, and there's another guy named David Claray or something. I forgot his surname. And they have a study called Sapphire Project. Okay, and it speaks about what Keith was saying. And these people, maybe they believe are ball believer, but if they themselves, that as being scientists of uh, electrical and understanding and all this stuff, and all their experiments is showing that the sun is electric and not having fusion, it should be eye opener for them, right? Because even Dollard and these two guys by the Sapphire Project have in a way proved it according to the studies and experiment that it is electric and there is no fusion happening on the sun.
Yeah, they will tell you point blank, emphatically, the sun is not powered by thermonuclear fusion. And Dollard will actually come out, and when someone said, "Well, what is it powered by?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "Nobody knows." He says it's some type of transformer in the sky, and we don't know where it gets its power. But and Donald Scott said that the sun is powered from without; it's not powered from within. And he and Eric both agree that whatever is beyond the surface of the sun, whatever's inside of the sun, is probably not very much. It's mostly just the outer layer of the sun that we're seeing. And Eric Dollard, the sunspots that we see, you're actually looking into the sun, there's nothing there. That's why they're black. So it's interesting.
Exactly. And also, yeah, and we were discussing it before, that there are possibilities that the sun as being a transformer, if it's all electrical working, so it's taking the electromagnetic energy from the earth, from the dome, or maybe the space above, not the fake space, but the space above, and concentrating that energy into a point where the residue is this heat, light, and electromagnetic. Because electromagnetic it's also part of electrical workings. It's very important, because also if we speak about the visible spectrum, okay, the light we are seeing is because it's in the visible spectrum, but there are many other light which are not, we cannot see, and radio waves and all these, and the light, and all these are radiation. It's just, and the heat, it's all radiation.
That's a very good conclusion. I like that a lot.
So if so, that could be the reason. That's why we are only seeing this and happening this only in the atmosphere, because there are many different kind of rays and radiation, gamma rays, and many other things are there. But they so it's working, it's functioning in that way, that it's collecting all this energy or vibration or frequencies and concentrating, and it's spreading all over, and these are supposed to be the residue. Because you imagine, have you seen a lightning? When it lights, it it's like a day. When it's
Yeah.
really a strong lightning, we can see like a day. And there are some lightning which looks like a ball with the waves and everything, but it looks like a sun a little bit. So the same thing is happening. It's just an electrical process, and that's why it illuminates the day when there's a lightning. And the same thing is the sun is doing. It's a very good example to catch on a thunderous day, to see a huge lightning that which could look like a small ball, and then it's going and making those wave lines, and you will literally see it like a sun. So it's the same functioning happening, but a continuous functioning. So it's like the sun, it's like a circuit, which makes this whole electrical functioning happening, is the sun. It's freaking crazy. It just goes so against this global theory and all their hypotheses and all their pseudoscience, so. And as we spoke about too, so you need these electromagnetic waves or fields from the sun, or from the earth, for all these processes to happen. So that means no kind of radiation can move in a vacuum of space. Okay, so all this bullshit that they speak about, all these signals are reaching to Mars and rovers and all the crap they speak about, it's impossible, because there is no electromagnetic fields and waves to take those radiations to that distance. A big no-no, right?
Oh, definitely. That makes complete sense. I like where you're getting at when it comes to how the sun can affect the light spectrum of what we see. But the reason that why we feel heat is because of the other wave fields, like the gamma waves, the UV rays, the et cetera, et cetera. If that
Right,
makes
and this
sense.
is right, and this is for anybody to look into and check by themselves, because pseudoscience like to use some science, but the majority is theory. But there is some science in there. So all this science which can be proved, what we are speaking about, it's easy to see if you really want to see it. So if we understand that it's not happening because of all the heat and the light and the radiation, is not happening because of the sun being that far away and all this fusion, all this stuff, we can really try to see it clearly, that it's an electrical functioning of the sun. So as we spoke before, the earth also is really, really important, because the electromagnetic fields and energy of the earth is stronger than the sun. That's why everything rotates around us. Okay, I have a lot of memes and stuff on this, also about why everything moves around us, why we are the center of the universe, because the earth magnetic field is stronger than the sun magnetic field. That's the reason. Or the moon, or the luminaries, or whatever is rotating around us. Also, for sure, it plays a part, as we spoke about the dome in some another show, that is all moving. But that's one of the reasons, because of the earth. Okay, anybody wants to add something before we continue?
Well, I want to ask you guys about the theory that some people believe the sun is an anode and the moon is a cathode. That the sun is the positive, the moon is the negative. I've been hearing more about this the last 6 months or so, and if any of you guys research that, I'd love to hear more about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're gonna get into it a little bit ahead, for sure.
Well, I can add to that. We can look at it this way: the sun gives off heat, that's an anode, and the moon takes heat. The moonlight is cold, we know that. So that looks like a cathode. There's support to the anode cathode idea right there. And back to the Rakia firmament, we haven't brought up the fact that everything operates as a perfect timepiece. And here's another what we could call them: the sun, moon, and the other luminaries, the planet stars, the wandering stars. The Greeks call them planets, but the Holy Scripture uses planet, star, and luminary all interchangeably. Okay, it'll call the moon a planet. So if we read the Scripture properly, so we could call them planet stars, wandering stars, and they all circle the North Star or the pole star. Okay, so and it's proven, and we know this, that the firmament rotates above us overhead, and all of the luminaries, and now what do we say? The sun tells us the time of day, the moon tells us the time of the month, and the stars overhead with their turning tell us the time of year. One great massive example is the Big Dipper. As the year goes by, the Big Dipper makes an entire circle around the North Pole, an entire circle around the North Pole. I mean, around the North Star. Okay, so that's a perfectly designed timepiece, and it's all powered by the firmament. And I say the Rakia. It's all powered. There's a huge amount of electrical magnetic energy there. And where does it come from? It comes from the Creator. That's where it comes from. And the Rakia filters that energy in, and the sun directs that energy out. And it seems, I would submit this, the moon collects leftover energy and brings it back in. So there's a few tidbits there.
Right. The harmony of both is important as a yin and yang, as every other aspect of life we have got. So the sun and moon are doing both of them are doing that job to keep that opposite polarity, which is required for the functioning of this ecosystem, because they both have their own electromagnetic energy and pull and push. So as you were saying, Rob, and also what Keith was saying, that it acts like negative and positive. Right. Okay, we're gonna get that into soon after the break. So before we go on a break, Eddie or Kevin, you want to add something before we go for a break, and then we're gonna get
Hey, Vikka, I
into it.
want to add something there.
Yep.
Hey, Vikka.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So first of all, hello everyone. I didn't say hello. I have my kids at home, so sometimes I have to go on mute. But I want to add something. You know that guy QN Fee? He has a YouTube channel. Recently, he posted a video, and I want you guys to confirm that. He goes to that website. I think it's suncalculator something .com, and sometimes he has like recorded that the sun does not move at exactly 15 degrees an hour. Sometimes like 12 degrees, sometimes 13 degrees. And even there was one of his recordings, he has like 8 degrees, okay? So that's why most of the aircraft navigation system is based only on the stars, because the stars are precise and not on the moon or the sun. So I just want to know if you guys have seen or heard anything about like that.
I can answer that as a pilot. That's absolutely correct. I know a pilot who flew mainly in the South Pacific over water. Okay, and we know over water now, there's no guides except for the buoys that they have out there, but those buoys aren't strong enough to reach up to 36,000 feet. A lot of the time they fly by star navigation. Okay, they star navigation. And then, but let me add to this. We know the Rakia turns overhead every 24 hours. So the stars are moving slightly. So they calculate like a sextant. They calculate the stars by the time of the night, literally. But yes, they very well do navigate by the stars.
Right.
Oh yeah, oh definitely, and as you say also, Rob, the bearings, the bearings they take, apart from the from the constellation, the most of the navigation of the seas were always mostly about also about the stars and through the stars. But even if they would do with the sun and the moon, so it's very important. And as you know, Rob, the bearings they take and they adjust the timing and the angles to go in that direction. So it's a part of it. It's a part of navigation too, finding these bearings and going on the right route. So, yep,
Definitely. And
definitely.
just to and just to add to that, the guide of the stars, the map that you buy or that you can get, that's like the guide of the stars that you spin it for every month and every day of the week to show you what um, side of the stars that you're seeing. The guide of the stars is actually made from azimuthal equidistant projection. That's how they make that. They make it from a flat Earth map
There you go,
with the North
Kevin.
Star being in the middle.
The guide to the stars for navigation, and then we have the
Is
guide to the
made
stars
from
for agriculture, known as the almanac, the farmer's almanac. Sounds like a
exactly.
similar function.
Yeah, but it's made from an azimuthal equidistant projection. That's how they make those.
Indeed.
Which just kind of confirms your guys' topic there.
All right, just
Oh yeah.
add one more thing. Hey Vika, just wanted to know if
Go
anybody
ahead.
has
No,
heard
no
that
problem.
because yeah, that guy, the QNF guy, he has the sun moving at sometimes 12 degrees an hour, 13 degrees an hour. And I just want to know if anybody has heard anything about it because that was the first time I ever heard of the sun not going exactly at 15 degrees per hour, but sometimes variating, 12 degrees, 13
But
degrees, even down to
yeah, but
11 degrees an hour.
Eddie,
And
uh, they speak about the analema. They speak about the sun speeding up during the winter and the summer, and so there could be that if there is a speeding up and slowing down, so there have to be some variables
there you go. Absolutely.
of
That was
some
what I was going
degrees.
to say.
Definitely,
Right.
Eddie, what is his name?
QNF. It's a guy that he makes some funny videos.
QN.
I'll post the link. I'll post the link in the chat and exactly the minute. But it's a video. The thumbnail has Bob Noddle with a Pinocchio nose. It's that video.
Yes. That's awesome.
Okay, so now you officially have me interested.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, Jeff, I think I just had an epiphany. I, anybody else, please back me up on this. But the Google symbol, it just occurred to me, maybe that came from the analemma. The analemma symbol is an elongated Google symbol. It's a figure 8 on a side, analemma. And we know the Luciferians are sun worshipers, so they turn all the signs of the sky into a symbol that they write with their hand. For example, has everybody noticed that the path of Venus around the North Star, that makes a 5-pointed lotus flower? And that's where the pentagram comes from, and that's why the Luciferians use it, because Venus makes a 5-pointed circle as it goes around the sun. So it kind of appears the Google symbol comes from the analemma.
Awesome, Rob. Oh yeah, the
Thanks.
symbolism these people use everywhere. They just put it sometime, right in the face.
Right in the face. And here we are unraveling it.
Oh yeah. Okay, there's a comment. I'm gonna read a comment and then we're gonna take a break. Maybe if you want to add something about the comment and then we're gonna take a break. Someone says from Facebook, I want to learn more about the electric sun. I am Echo. The sun and the moon are disks, which explain the visual perspective seen when viewing the moon from different perspective locale. Tag me, send me whatever you choose. I would all about learning and sharing of peer review. Well, awesome. Yep, it looks like a disk. It could be a disk. We also discussed on our eclipse video about how the shadow falls on the moon and it's not possible on a sphere because the way the shadow falls, be it whatever shadow it is. Yeah, it could be possible, or it could be just the form of a disk, but it's just the concentration of energy. Could be. All right, guys, we're going to take a break and we will be right back. All right.
Okay.
My name is Joshua Silva. I am a licensed commercial pilot and flight instructor. I have had a lifelong love of aviation and aerospace, and when growing up I even fancied myself an amateur astronomer.
Number one, I'm a pilot, and when I used to fly out of Long Island towards Nantucket, bottom line here is they're going to give you some type of formula for every 100 miles. They're going to give you some type of XYZ per kilometer squared.
Been in aviation for 21 years. Anything from helicopters to aerostats to big birds, little birds, fighter jets, things with engines, no engines, big blades, little blades, compressor blades.
I woke up to the truth of the flat Earth, shape of the Earth, as an engineer and a pilot.
I'm a merchant marine. I've been sailing 15 years. I graduated from the Paul Hall Maritime Center out of Piney Point, Maryland. I primarily sail on container ships, tankers, drill ships, military cargo vessels. You name it, I can sail on it.
Work experience. I joined the Navy when I was 17 years old. I had a secret security clearance. There's different levels of security clearance. There's a lower level, then there's a secret, which is what I had.
I'll be providing my in-depth experience of U.S. Navy submarines and how they prove we do not live on a globe Earth. However, due to the nature of my job and the security clearance that I hold, I wish to remain anonymous.
All right, welcome back, guys, to the show. The electric sun and the electric plane, we could call it. That's what we have. The topic today is, and we've got Rob Taylor, we got Eddie Alencar, Keith Cameron, and Kevin Bobick with us as guests. I'm gonna say a quick hello to the people in the chat. It's Dr. Frankenstein, we got Captain Caveman. We got Effie Nation. Hey, Carl Fletcher. We got Iruk Vasile. We got Plain Indigenous Truth. Few people from Facebook. We got Mike Zudnich. Hello, bro. We got German Handrat Laplace. Saludos. He's also a acrobat plane pilot, I think. Herman Handrat. All right. Oh, gravísima gravedad. Yes. Hey, ¿qué tal, Herman? And then we've got another few people from Facebook. Then we got Mark Hollander. Hey, Mark, how are you, brother? And then we got a few other people from Facebook. We cannot see the name. Hey, the people who are watching us from Facebook, we cannot see your name. We can see your comments, but we cannot see your name. And if you want us to see your name, you have to allow StreamYard for that to happen, right? So we could see your name too, and we know who's commenting. Then we've got Better Than Gold. And then we've got Cody Teresi. And then we've got, there's Eddie also there in the chat. Yes, Eddie, thank you for being a member of this channel. Really, really appreciate, brother. Thank you so much. That's why you're highlighted in the green. Awesome. Back to the show. So why is it important to understand this? The whole system, the whole ecosystem is working on this electrical. It's like an electrical circuit. The whole, if you see the whole earth, it's like electric circuit. We also, if you put it in the version of the Tesla coil, also is another way, of calling. So we all know that the water, the salt water, works same as a battery. Okay, we all know that, and it's also diamagnetic. The water, the sea water, is also diamagnetic. So the electromagnetic energy of the sun and the moon and of the earth interacting with each other, which create that electromagnetism. Okay, so that's the reason we have the tide, also because of the sun and the moon electromagnetic energies and waves, and also from the earth, and that's why it create that magnetic effect of pull and push. That's also one of the reason for the tides to happen on the earth. So it's very important for us to know that this electrical and electromagnetic things happening is the real reason of not only of how the ecosystem works, but also for the tides. So answering to your question, Keith, as you mentioned, so these are really are working like negative and positive cathode, the sun and the moon, on this electrical earth. Which is creating waves, tides of differences up to 17 meters. If you see the real changes could happen, on a sea level of all over the earth. I don't know if it answers your question, but more or less is the reason. So we all could see a whole battery, the salt water, which is 70% of the earth, is like a battery where all this energy and all these frequencies from above and below are making this whole ecosystem work, where the sun and the moon are playing the negative and the positive.
With the sun
I don't
acting
know
like
if
an anoid and the moon acting like a cathode, that completely makes sense, actually.
Exactly, and it's not the gravitational pull of the moon. No, it's the sun and the moon. They're both electromagnetic energy interacting with the Earth's own electromagnetic energy and creating this repel and pull effect of creating the tides, which is also important to know. Yep, go ahead.
No, for sure. You just connected a lot of dots for me. I appreciate that. Keep going.
Right, Kevin, are you there, Keith?
Yes, I'm here.
So I don't know if it answers some of your question about the negative and the positive, but this could be happening.
Yeah, and it makes more sense with the tides. The heliocentric model of the tides is that the moon pulls on the oceans, but as we all know, the tiniest insect can fly, and a tiny drop of dew doesn't fall off of a blade of grass because of gravity. But the tides happen twice a day, which would make sense once when the sun is going over and once when the moon is going over, versus versus the tides happening twice a day on the heliocentric model when the moon is only going around the earth allegedly one time. So the anode and cathode affecting the oceans, the salt water, makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Were you supposed to add something?
No, I was just saying that completely makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Rob, you want to add something before we continue?
Oh yes, the anode, cathode, positive, negative. Let's remind everybody that on the freshwater lakes, there's no tide at all. Okay, and why? Because there's no mineral content. When we say the ocean water is salt water, well, we really mean a heavy mineral content, which is why there's a pull from the sun and the moon. That's how it works.
Right, being
Well,
diamagnetic. Right.
exactly, because there's no salt water. There's no ionized salt water when it comes to the Great Lakes, but there's ionized salt water when it comes to all the seas and oceans. That's why they have a pole from the cathode from the moon, if that makes sense.
There you go. That's the point.
Right, right. So we see how important it is that we have 70% of the earth being water, which is like it's like a battery, and the whole electromagnetic energy and the sun and the moon working as a cathode. It looks like a machine. It's like a machine working, more than an electrical machine, So freaking crazy. It's much more uh makes sense than the globe pseudoscience. That's definitely because everything what we are speaking about could be looked into and checked because the diamagnetics of the water. How Rob says that sweet water doesn't have tides because of the diamagneticity of the salt water, and how Keith also added that about the sun and the moon when about the tides that is making the differences 2 times a day. So all these things what we are discussing or breaking it down, it's for anybody to go and check by themselves. It's not pseudoscience.
Exactly. Don't listen to us. You know what I mean? Go do your own observation. Go see how it really works. Because all we're doing, we're giving very strong opinions, yes, but it really sinks in whenever you go and do your own observable, repeatable, testable experiment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what sunk in for me. That's what really made me become an official flat earther, is after I did my own experiment. And I did a grip of research for a couple of years before, and I was going back and forth for the longest time. But after I did my own observation, you know what I mean, realized how things really worked, that's when things really sank in. And that's basically what Vikka was trying to say earlier. But if you don't mind, Vikka, is that, you know what I mean? Like, go out and experience and go out and test everything we've been talking about tonight.
Exactly. When there's a thunderstorm, go and see how it lightens up the day, like this, like the sunlight.
Or go to the Great Lakes and see how the moon does not affect its tides.
Right, and go on a plane and go and check the temperature, the outside temperature. It's freezing, it becomes ice. So go about Himalaya, you're gonna freeze in 2 minutes.
Very well said.
Oh yeah, so it's so speaking about the electric, so it's very important that to understand that we are not just saying that the sun is electric. To understand, and that's why we're trying to break it down, that the whole system working from above and below is electric. We see the aurora borealis. There's a combination of electric and gases that's happening. That's why we see this. Also, the Somi emulation effect. So all these things, because it's everything is light. You could see light everywhere. The sun, the moon, the stars. Yeah, go ahead.
You mind if I throw something in at this moment?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You mentioned aurora borealis. Now we know that happens in the very central circle. We call it near the North Pole, right?
Yep.
Well, we know it's all about angles and gases, the neon gases, the noble gases per se. Okay. Well, guess what? The rest of the Earth sees the same aurora borealis. We call it the sunrise and the sunset. You with me here?
Yeah.
It's the same effect. It's the same noble gases, same noble gas effect. It just takes a little bit longer out here in the southern latitudes per se, and not near the North Pole. But it's the same effect. That just occurred to me just now.
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. It's just more observable, right? Near the North Pole, because the North Pole has a stronger
magnetic field of the center. Yeah.
Exactly. A positive
Everything's more
electromagnetic
local.
field.
It's more local up there. It's more pronounced, we could say. Now, talking about asking the questions, Kevin, I think it was you that mentioned this the other night, maybe even last night. We can't. Now, here's the expression. Do you remember what it was, Kevin? We can't answer a question to somebody that they haven't already what? Was it you that mentioned that?
Was this our last night conversation? I don't remember.
Sometime this week. The discussion is this, and this goes for everybody. And this is the Socratic method. We can't answer a question for somebody, any research question. We can't answer a question for somebody that they haven't already asked themselves. In other words, they have to be seeking the answer. They have to be seeking the solution. And when we give them data, it helps them. But they have to seek it for themselves.
Oh, definitely. That's why I was trying to express earlier. You know what I mean? We're all giving very strong opinions right now, but it's not going to make sense to them if they don't go and seek it for themselves. Knocking the door be open, seeking you shall find, asking you shall receive, right?
There you go. Absolutely. That's what it is. And that's the answer right there. Do we seek, where do we seek learning? We seek learning in all areas, not just from the scripture. We seek learning from science, obviously. Seeking you shall find, asking you shall receive, knocking shall be opened unto you.
Awesome.
Yes,
Rob,
yes,
what I wanted to add it to also, that as you mentioned the gases and as I was mentioning the aurora borealis. So there are the gases, and then there are the electrons, and the electric part also is playing together. That's why it works and illuminates in the night sky. So if you see the stars, you see the aurora borealis, you see the sun, the moon, the planets, all the things moving, you think all this is happening, all this light show is happening, and there won't be any electricity in there, right?
Yeah, that's crazy talk.
Yeah, it's one big generator, isn't it? One big dynamo. How about that? Electric dynamo.
It's crazy. Yeah. So we also, if we speak about the gases and different gases and how they illuminate because of the electrons and all the particles in the atmosphere, and so there are different kind of gases. So we see different colors of the gases. But the most interesting one is supposed to be the xenon. The daylight is very similar to xenon gas, so it's like almost white light. So also, yep, part of a visible spectrum. But yes, it's very interesting that how the layers of the light below, when you see from a high altitude images, you really see the white light below and the black sky, the black, whatever we want to call it, above, where we see the sun and the moon. Yep. So getting back to the topic again, how do you say the heat? As I said, heat, light, and electromagnetic is the reason, is the byproduct that's why we have the sun. We know that the sun is electric and not fusion. So why is it important, this heat and light? Now that we understand a bit, why is it important for the functioning of the earth? Okay, why is it so much important? As I mentioned before, that the electromagnetic energy waves which are coming from above are vibrating the particles and molecules in the atmosphere, and that creates the heat and the light. So what happens? The heat, once the heat comes to the atmosphere, the air expands, and we have evaporation of the seas and the water. That, like even the traditional science say some truth in there. That we have the clouds, and then it rains, and then the wind, also the heat generates the wind, and the wind could generate storms. So the whole functioning of the ecosystem is because of this light and heat. So we have to understand, it's very important. This electric sun is very important for the whole system to work.
Yep.
So So the sun is playing like when it's on its path, it also creates because of these electromagnetic differences and energies of strong and low. Also, the earthquakes are also one of the reasons because of this electromagnetic energy of the sun interacting with the earth electromagnetic energy, right? So the whole, if you really see, the whole system is not going to work without the sun because of the light, heat, and radiation which is coming from this electric sun. And as we spoke, the whole thing is like an electrical system. You want to call it a generator, a dynamo, or whatever. And as we spoke about the lights and the sun and the aurora borealis, so everything is so electric. Okay, so we better start calling it the electric flat plane, you know. So
That's a good one. Maybe we should. That would be a new that'd be a good new phrase for us. The
the electric flat Earth.
the electric flat Earth, or the electric level Earth.
That's a great one.
Oh yeah.
That makes it even more defined. In other words, there it is. The electric plane. The electric plane of the electric flat Earth. There we go.
Oh yeah, it's really not easy to put everything in word and break it down, but I think at least some idea people could have what we are trying to discuss here. You know, about the whole system, how it's working, and how important is the sun and the moon and everything else. But the sun is on its circuit. Is the one which creates and moves everything around. Because, you know,
I'm definitely gonna add that into my vocabulary for sure.
There we go. So when people say, "You mean flat Earth?" we say, "No, electric flat Earth."
Hey Rob, do you want to hear something funny?
Yeah, go for it.
I was actually talking to somebody, and they were like, "Oh, you're Kevin Bobick. Let me look you up on YouTube or Google or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, you might find enclosed cosmology. You might find geocentricity. You might find enclosed biblical cosmology." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Have you ever heard of flat Earth?" And then as soon as I said flat Earth, he just like lost his mind. You know what I mean? And then just me.
I don't say those two words. I don't say those two words anymore. When
well, exactly. And honestly, we shouldn't. But just adding electric plane Earth into that vocabulary would just make it that much more intimidating. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. When I'm introducing the topic, the person I'm introducing to, they always say flat Earth, regardless. And I always say, "Well, I didn't say it. You just said it. See, I don't have to say it. You know what I'm talking about."
Right. We just lay down plain sight.
And I will tell you the truth. Everybody knows Jesus Christ. We know that. Okay. Everybody knows the Earth is flat. They just won't admit it. That's the fact right there. They just won't admit it.
Right. And also, so we can see that how important electricity is, or electric energy is, you know, as we say, the electric and the magnetic, you know, the yin and the yang. We know we are electric, you know, we are electric. When there is no electricity left, we are dead. We are alive because of that electricity and that magnetic field that we have to that in our center, that we perceive everything.
Absolutely.
So,
Vikka, what is our synapses? Our nervous system is what? It's electrical signals, right? It's electro physical biological symbols, or signals, that is. There's even a video. I have it on. It's on my Facebook encyclopedia. My page is an encyclopedia, as we know. I have a video. The name of it is this: "The Earth is a battery, so are we. Flat Earth is a battery, so are we."
Exactly. We have to be, if we go ahead, Kevin.
That's why we're able to ground, and grounding is one of the best ways of detoxifying negative energy. So for positive, we put our feet upon Earth and it detoxifies us, that just proves we're an electromagnetic field.
Exactly, and also about the ions in the atmosphere, which are harmonic for us and which are non-harmonic for us. The negatives are supposed to be the more harmonic for us, and the positive no. So it's always there. That part is always playing there, the negative and positive, right? Because in the nature where we are in the woods, or we are near a lake or a waterfall, we feel so energized, because it's like
Yes,
really happening, that transfer of cleaning of the whole system in a way.
definitely, I like it.
So yeah, it's there for people to look into and make up your own minds. We try to put it in words, or break it down in a way, but I think we covered some important points where we could make up some sense about how everything could be working, of things being electric, everything, the whole show that is going on, the whole functioning of the ecosystem, the whole raining, the earthquakes, everything, the storms, the clouds, the evaporation, everything is happening because of that. About the electricity and the electromagnetism. Yep, and yep, we try to cover everything, guys. So we're gonna have some last thoughts on the topic, and we're gonna be saying goodbye. So who wanna go first?
I'll make a recommendation, especially going back to what you were talking about with the noble gases being excited by electricity. There's a really good visual of that on a channel on YouTube called Dan Dimension. That's DAN, Dan Dimension.
Oh yeah, I follow him.
Yeah, and there's one video on there called "Let There Be Light," and it shows from a high altitude, probably a weather balloon. It shows the sun circling over the Earth, and it shows all these noble gases getting excited and lighting up all these different colors. But
Yep,
it's real good visual for somebody to go see.
for sure. That was great suggestion.
Oh yeah. Who wants to go next? Eddie, you still
Okay, I'll
there?
go ahead. Yeah, I'm here. So I want to say bye to everybody. We will be back next week. Okay, Keith, Kevin, Rob, Mike Hollander, he was in the chat earlier. And yeah, great discussion. I don't have much to add on the sun because it's not my area of study. So I was here more to learn from you guys than to say anything. I'm going to listen to that Dan Dimension video, Keith. And a big hello to Gene. Okay, I didn't get to talk to him today. So I'll see you guys next week, right?
All right, Eddie, thanks for coming, brother. And yeah, Gene couldn't make it because he's having some connection problem. Definitely, he's gonna be next week with us. Yeah, Eddie, we try to break it down. I hope the people understood or get some idea and not got more confused the way we were trying to express it. But I hope people get the point where we were going through, from the start, from starting from Eric Dollard to Tesla and all those technology and all the combustion to the globe, way the globe people they say it is, and how we try to explain how it's happening in an electric and an electromagnetic way, and all the rest how we add it, and so how important it is, the heat and the light and the radiation, for everything to work in this ecosystem. And oh yeah, Kevin or Rob, who wants to go first? Yep.
I'll go ahead if you don't mind, Rob. Shout out to Vikka. Thank you so much for putting on these shows every week. I think you're putting a lot bigger influence into this electric plane Earth than you think you are. And I just appreciate everything you do. Rob Taylor, I appreciate your mental support almost on the daily. Keith, thank you so much for being on the show again. We should reach out more personally. I talk to these guys almost on a personal level weekly. Eddie Allen Carr, you're still on my prayer list. If any of you guys need me, just let me know. Shout out to New Mexico Flat Earthers. That is my group on Facebook. I also run New Mexico Flat Earth Community here inside of New Mexico, and also Density Clothing Company. So if anybody wants to reach out and help out with Density Clothing Company, it would be a great help, great support. We're kind of doing this more for so people can see more of the truth on a fashion clothing line instead of just seeing the truth on multiple information platforms. But overall, when it comes to the year 2022, yes, we are definitely taking over, and we are shutting up every globe earther that even wants to step up any way, shape, or form. And I love being a part of your guys' team. And shout out to anybody that was listening on the channel. Gene, sorry that you had some microphone problems tonight. We're just representing the way, the truth, the life, Jesus Christ, and just trying to guide people towards the right direction. And we're the type of people to where if you ask, you shall receive. Knocking, the door be open. Seeking, you shall find. We're not stubborn. We're not going to act like we know it all. None of us are know-it-alls. All of us are actually all seeking for truth. And we're all just trying to spread it at the same time. So it's a great awakening. It's a great time to be alive. And thank all you guys.
Thank you, Kevin. It's always a pleasure, brother. Yes, people do check out Kevin Bobick and all his work. He's got some amazing content too. And do get your t-shirts from Density Clothing Company. Amazing stuff, high quality stuff and print and awesome designs. You also have Flatten the Curve and anything you want to get personalized. So Density Clothing Company too. Thank you, Kevin. Rob.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, yes, Vikka, this is Rob, Flat Plain Earth. I'll go ahead and make my final comments. Thanks to everybody for participating, for all the great ideas. Vikka, Keith, Eddie, Kevin, and Gene. Sorry you couldn't contribute. We'll get you next time. You've been with us every other idea, or every other weekend. So thanks for all the contribution today. I do want to mention one more thing that we haven't covered. There's most of us know of this, but I'll mention it briefly. The study that analyzed the longitude analyzed the sun and the angles observed to the sun from the same longitude, and this is on the east coast of the United States, from Nova Scotia down to Argentina. So they fed all the angles to the sun at the same hour of the day over an entire year, and they used so much data, so much information that it literally overloaded their computer. They had to get a bigger computer or reduce the data. What they found, now I'm just going to reiterate this because we're talking about electric sun, the sun as a lens. What they found is that after calculating all the angles from all these observation points at the same hour of the day along the same longitude, is that the sun, the position of the sun did not match the angles from the observation points. Now, as we know, from an astronomical scientific standpoint, if we cannot confirm the existence of something from angles and measurements, then it literally does not exist. Okay? From that viewpoint, the sun literally does not exist. But we know, obviously, there's this bright ball of heat in the sun. I'm sorry, in the sky, whatever it is. We know it's there. We can point at it, and the effect is there. The heat is there, and it moves around the surface of the earth. But guess what? We literally cannot trace it with our angles and our measurements literally there's a disconnect here. And what we're finding that the sun is an apparition, which is a similar term as a lens. The sun is a lens. It directs the power from the rakia. In other words, it directs the creator's power to the flat, motionless earth. There it is. This perfect scientific proof right there of everything we said during this hour and a half. So that's a powerful point right there. Just want to throw that out. Feel free, anybody else, to jump in and explain more on that. I'm hoping somebody else in this group has some more information they could chime in and add to that. But I know I've seen that video. We probably all seen it. And Vikka, you can add a lot more. Just want to throw that in there. And that's my final comment. Thanks again, Vikka.
Oh, thanks for being here, Rob. It's always a pleasure, and all your input. Awesome. Yeah, what I would like to add on to that is, yes, because as you say, you cannot physically say that the sun is there and the angles don't match, and it's because it's just an atmospheric effect that we are seeing. If we are saying that if it's just a concentration or a transformer of energy and electromagnetic waves, and which byproduct is the light and the heat. So if we are speaking about light could refract, light could go in any direction and create all kind of kaleidoscope effect. So that's why that could be the reason the angles don't match. But yeah, it's just it could be just a effect, as you say, of projectioning of the lenses. That's why we can never really pinpoint the actual height or it's an object or it's some kind of material, so yeah, it's an awesome way. We could come up with many different hypotheses on this, but yep, the electric, what we spoke about, I think says a lot already. What we spoke about the sun in this podcast, so maybe the people can really make up their own mind too with all the things we discussed. And yeah, people, there you have it. Not only the sun is electric, but the whole plain earth is electric, and everything is working because of that electricity and electromagnetic radiation and everything that what happens with it. So thank you everybody for joining us. I'm just gonna say bye to a couple of people who have joined us, but they're quite late. Jeannie Hess, Tom Budas, and Brian. There was also Brian Odell from our messenger chat. Yes, people, do join us our messenger chat so you could get information about our upcoming podcast, the topic, the timing, the guest, and you could even chip in with questions and inputs and everything else. So if you want to join our messenger chat only for the podcast, send us a messenger to me or anybody who's on the panel. So there you have it, guys. So make sure you check us soon for the next show. And yes, a big shout out to RTS Updates and RTS.com in general for being the sponsor for this show and for all our content. So thank you, guys. This is Vikka Draziv signing out from HelioPsychosis. See you guys next time. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
See you guys.
All right. See you guys. See you next week.
All the best, guys. Good luck researching.
Bye.
Astronauts to the moon.
Houston, we have a problem.